thing that Tucson say. It is merely the idea of being aware that there are some problems within the black community and then being actively engaged in overcoming those issues. So any like-minded individuals, we welcome them to be a part of this here conversation. Again, my name is Herb Howard. His name is Toussaint Warner. This is I Said What I Said, intellectual thuggery at its finest. Thank y'all so much for choosing to be a part of the conversation too. How you feeling, good brother?
What's up, fam? I'm maintaining, man. Struggling with this teenage experiment I got going on over in my house, brother. Driving me crazy.
Yeah.
You know, they say the sins of the father are returned upon the son. And I'm surely paying for every hell that I put my father through.
So you reaping some of that right now, huh?
I'm reaping all of that, man. So look, I got on my bread 11s.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're not hip to sneaker culture, I'm a sneaker fiend, right?
You are.
So the bread 11s are a pair of Jordans that are very important to the culture.
They are.
Right? So I got a pair of bread 11s maybe almost like 6-7 months ago. You know what I mean? New pair. And when I caught me a new pair, I caught my son a new pair. Because I'm a good dad.
Because you're a good father. That's what good fathers do, right?
So he's nearly the same size shoe I am. He's like a half a size, maybe a little bit more, but basically half a size under me.
Well out of kid sizes.
Well out of kid sizes. So our sneakers is Cardinals at this point, right? So I got to slow down now that he's got grown men.
Right.
He's going to have to learn how to happen. It is what it is, right? So I'm running out the door, and I throw my shoes on, or what I thought were my shoes, and I started to feel like some stuff inside. I said, "Nah, these must be Eric's. Where's my shoes?" Because I had my shoes. I knew they was down by the door, you know. So I'm like, when I look at it, I said, "Stink, man, you see my shoes?" Stink's like, "Nah, man, no." He said, "Those are yours."
Right.
I said, "No, these ain't mine because these don't have my soles in them. I got soles."
Right.
So he was like, "Mine upstairs in my closet." So I said, "No, them couldn't be yours. You must have accidentally put mine in your closet, and yours down here." Upstairs to look in this closet, and I see a pair of bread 11s in
Your shit?
They beat to death the ones in this closet, right? So I said, "Oh hell,
Can't be bad.
them ain't mine. Them can't be mine. Cause I don't do that to my jet."
Bet money them was yours.
No. So I run back downstairs, and I figured out. I said, "Oh, this boy, he done beat his to death."
Also, now
He done put his soles in mine, so he can wear mine.
yeah.
So now I know he's lying.
Right.
Right. But he's in the bathroom. So I stand at the bathroom. I said, "Hey, my man." I said, "Why do you think I'm confused about whether or not those are my shoes?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Look, yes, you know.
You know.
You know exactly why. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to tell the truth because it's obvious I've caught you in a lie, right?" So instead of just owning up to say, "Hey, Daddy, I put your shoes on. I've been wearing your shoes."
Right.
He makes me go step by step through the process.
Right.
I say, "Well, why was the soles in them?"
Right.
"I put them in them."
Right.
"Why'd you put them in them?"
Because I planned on wearing them,
"I wanted
Pops.
to see if they fit." Like it was this whole process. Like no, you did wear them.
Right.
No doubt about it. You wore them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it took me step by step process to even get you to admit that.
Yeah.
It's just this teenage stuff, boy, is driving me crazy, brother. He's a different dude, and I'm about to have to. I'm not even about to have to. I just don't want to admit to child abuse on this. On these
I'm finna commit to beating his ass on the
give,
regular.
Every now and then I got to give him some hands. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
You
man,
understand it.
you've been his age before. You know what that looks like. You know that we act first and then think second at that age. So whatever seems like a good idea, it's a good idea, right? So if it seems like a good idea, one, to run my shoes into the ground, right, and bust my classic breads up, and then just go throw the soles in my daddy's shoes and rock those, then that's a good idea at this time, right? We'll deal with the consequences later. So, whatever that looks like for him, he's prepared to deal with it, I hope.
He ain't prepared to deal with it, but we're going to get that understanding very soon. Trust and believe that.
Well, that's what's up, man. Shout out to him, man. He's so funny, man. Me and Two was over at Jock Grill one day last week down on 53rd in Hyde Park, and sitting outside waiting on food or whatever, and lo and behold, here comes his son riding around the corner on his bike. And so I just yell at him. And I'm like, "Yo, E." He like, "What's up?" I'm like, "There go your daddy." This fool talking about some, "Who?" I said, "Fool, your daddy." Like, he right there.
Yeah, he don't want to see me, man. He was probably did it on purpose, trying to avoid
Trying to dunk you.
Yeah, trying
right?
to avoid me.
It'd be like that. That is the life of a 14, 15-year-old young boy. So, it's only going to get better from here. Man, he'll be driving soon. Then he's going to really be in trouble. You talking about him stealing your shoes. Wait till he's stealing your car.
No, he ain't going to have to steal my car. We don't get an understanding early. We already working on getting him a car, but he's going to earn it himself. So we trying to put some lessons in place. So, and then it's a different world, right? So, like, contrary to, like, my upbringing, One, he's a standout athlete, so he's gonna be going to school far away from the house.
Yeah.
I'm not really comfortable with him jumping on public transportation every day. So car becomes an extension of his life. Whereas when I was a kid, car wasn't necessarily an extension of your life.
Similar to how cell phones have become.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. We had to figure it out. Well, as his parent and as his protector, I'm not going to put him in a position to have to figure it out because there's too much that happens on the bus line.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a position to allow him to kind of skate past that phase of life, I would much rather do that. So I know it's crazy. I know he's spoiled.
Right.
And he's reaping the benefits of me being his dad, but there's some things you just gotta do in these days and age, at least for me, in my mind. You know what I mean? So he'll probably have a car as soon as he can drive.
Listen, man, I was tuned in earlier, and I hope you guys were also tuned in earlier to the Mace Jackson show. And all last week we were talking about this huge announcement that was going to be coming at 8:30 this morning. And sure enough, the announcement came. And if you were not tuned in to the Mace Jackson show this morning, the announcement is that Mike Love and Diz will be joining What's in It for the Black People Media. They will be here Monday through Friday, right after I said what I said, 3 to 6 p.m. each and every day, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media live on the Mace Jackson page. Super, super excited to have them. Fellas, welcome to the team. Had the opportunity to chop it up with them a little bit last week. Really, really good conversation. Everybody's excited about what's going on over here. It turned into a really, really solid team, a really, really close-knit group, and a healthy competition is brewing as well, right? A healthy competition is brewing as well.
Love and Diz, man. It was interesting. I was listening to the Maze show earlier when Maze announced that they were on the show, and they came on and did a quick interview.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a huge fan of Mike Love's voice. I didn't realize how powerful his voice is coming over the airways. I'm a real fan of Mike's voice.
That's a fact.
But another thing, they had a conversation about Chicago Famous because that's the title of the new show.
Chicago
that's
Famous,
Chicago Famous. And
look at man, we're gonna bring you in after the 17 break. We're gonna bring you in.
I thought about it. Chicago Famous, and they gave a definition of how they came up with that concept of that title. Even to the point that Maze just popped in the door, but he's gonna be the leader in the numbers over here. But I'm pretty much Chicago Famous myself.
Big facts.
Big facts.
Big facts.
So we're gonna ride that wave to the ground. So last week Maze said I wasn't the social one. So I'm gonna let them know how social we can be when we take them numbers down.
Listen, there's a healthy competition that's going on right now. Shout out to Maze, obviously, for one, getting this all started and setting it up, and also for kicking off the day the way he does. The Mace Jackson show is absolutely the only thing you need to be tuned into in the morning. It is a great leadoff show for the lineup, right? Mace Jackson is a great leadoff hitter, right? That's going to be set the table for all the rest of us coming behind him. Then you got Don B coming through. You got Mike Brown coming through with trigger warning. You got the bigs, right, on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3, and then you got Chicago Famous with Mike Love and Diz, right? The lineup is absolutely insane, right? And we continue to work on late night lineups, weekend lineups. It is a lot of really, really good things going on. So y'all stay tuned for all the other things that are coming up. But the competition here, though healthy, it's really not a competition too. It's really May's got a head start, right? He got a little bit of a head start. It's kind of rigged. It's kind of rigged. Got a little bit of a head start. So we're gonna let him enjoy that for a little while. But make no mistake about it, I said what I said will be the premier show on What's in It for the Black People Media. Will it not?
Man, hands down. Right now we got Raymond Hubbard sent us 200 stars. Shout out to Raymond, man. Shout out to Mama Howard for dropping them 50 stars too. We appreciate it.
Greatly appreciate it.
Just further proof that we're moving forward and we're gonna have the greatest numbers on this broadcast station to date.
No doubt about it. And that brings me right into saying thank you all to each and every one of you all who have been, first of all, locked in what I said from the onset of the show. Thank y'all so much for coming over here to What's in It for the Black People Media. For everybody that's only been tuned into I Said What I Said since we've been over here, thank y'all so much for giving us an opportunity, for checking out the show, being a part of the conversation. We greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you all for everything that you've done to keep the conversation relevant and to take part in it, to spread it, to inform other people about it, and certainly to support it with the Gold Stars as well. Each and every one of you, we greatly, greatly appreciate your support in whatever way, shape, or form possible. So thank you all so very, very much. Listen, we got a great show planned for you guys this afternoon. Gonna touch on the Ice Cube video, right, from he put out on Instagram and social media, where he went into this idea of black people blindly throwing their support behind the Democratic Party, specifically looking ahead to the 2020 presidential election and saying, listen, if you want to vote for Joe Biden, fine. Nobody's saying right? Don't vote for Joe Biden. That's not the argument that he was making. That's not the argument that we've been making for quite some time. But it was the idea of what's in it for the black people. And shout out to What's in It for the Black People Media. Shout out to Maze. And shout out to the entire What's in It for the Black People family, because you all have pushed that question out so much now to where it's really a national question and an international question, to where you can hear people like Ice Cube saying what's in it for the black people, literally. So we're going to play that video for you guys a little bit later on and have that discussion about what it means for us to actually have a demand for our vote. We're going to give you our vote. We're going to support you with our resources. What are we getting back from that? That's a conversation we're going to get into as well. And while we're on that topic, we're going to show you guys a very, very entertaining video of presidential hopeful, right? Joe Biden, presidential candidate Joe Biden. Tucson stumbled across a very, very interesting clip as it pertains to the speech that he gave. When did he give that speech? Friday?
At the DNC National Convention.
He gave that speech at the Democratic National Convention, and came across something that was very, very interesting about that speech as it relates to the speech that he gave in the 2008 as vice president, who's running for vice president in 2008. So we're going to play that clip for you. I think you guys will find that to be really, really entertaining. A couple other things we want to touch on as we go throughout the day. Again, this is I Say What I Said. Tucson, Warner, Herb Howard here with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. This is I Say What I Said. Intellectual thuggery at its finest. We'll be right back after this. Yeah, y'all gotta wait till y'all see this.
Can we get that back up here or no?
I've been trying to pull that up on that screen for a minute, but I'll try it again. But so I haven't been working. We're gonna
give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to Adrian Anderson for the 200 stars. We appreciate you.
Tell your friends
Adrian.
you about to lose them for about 2 minutes.
All right, y'all. We
got the sound or video, everything.
Sound. You gonna lose everything.
We
about to lose everything for like 2 minutes, y'all. Don't go nowhere.
Yeah, we're gonna pop off for a minute.
Sorry.
We come back.
Trying to mess up our numbers. That's what he really doing.
No, I'm gonna get
I
y'all.
know his strategy.
It's competition already.
What? Who, me?
mind, man.
Yeah, man, it's Chicago famous.
Say what? Old guys now.
Oh, I'm hurt. My back. We are back starting September 8th.
Get ready, Chicago. That's right. We are coming back on the air.
3 to 6 p.m. on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Chicago.
This is saying video ended.
No, I'm looking at it on. You don't see it on yours? Refresh it. I'm seeing it on this page, bro. It's live right now. Look.
It's a new video. Or it's a new one.
All right. Yep, I know it. Is that camera on?
What camera?
That one. So I wanted to pop you in for a second.
Yeah, it is. You just gotta turn it around.
I don't even see it. Which one is it? That's this. That is this. Oh, that's what it is.
You gotta turn it around.
Yeah, my bad. That's what it is. Which one was that? 3?
Wait,
Okay,
this
cool.
is
Yeah, it's
camera 3.
I got you.
Something.
We solid. We all good.
Here, I'm gonna give you this for now. Now.
Boom.
Rig.
All right, let's go. On you. Welcome back. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is I Said What I Said, intellectual thuggery at its finest. This is the blackest conversation in America. My name is Herb Howard. His name is Tucson Warner. Each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. We are live from the Maze Jackson page. Thank y'all so much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. Thank y'all so much for sticking through us through that little break. We had to take a break. We was trying to get some sound and some camera things set up in the studio. We appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with us as we are working through some of the kinks, and we greatly appreciate y'all choosing to be a part of it. All of y'all that stay tuned on the Facebook Live, y'all kind of got to see some of that going down in the process, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as we continue to iron out some of the kinks over here, What's in It for the Black People Media. But thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. Again, if you haven't done so, please take a quick moment to share the conversation. We would greatly appreciate you inviting anyone that you think would add value to or find value in this particular conversation. Right before we went to break, we were telling you guys some of the things that we're going to be discussing. We're going to talk about Ice Cube. We're also going to talk about presidential hopeful Joe Biden and what that has looked like for him throughout this particular process. There's some alarming, I wouldn't even, alarming is a terrible word. It's not alarming at all, right? Some of the most recent videos of police shootings of unarmed black people, right? I said alarming, but there's nothing alarming about it. There's nothing new about it. It's not something that it's letting us know anything new or something new to be aware of. It has been what it has been for quite some time, and it's really just a question of how are we going to respond to it. And for me personally, and I don't know how you feel about it too, and I don't know how the rest of you all feel about it either, but for me personally, I have kind of adopted this mindset of just saying, you know what, if George Floyd was supposed to be the last one, then that's it. That's the last one, right? I'm not going to continue to say, okay, this one, that one, and be distracted and more upset. It's just, we should still be in perpetual state of working towards racial equality and racial justice ever since George Floyd. And so these new ones kind of serve as a little bit of, I don't want to say a distraction. In no way, shape, or form do I want to disrespect the people who lost their lives or their family members in any way, shape, or form. But it's to merely say that if we're done, we're done, right? If we are done with this shit, then we're done with this shit. And one more, two more, another hashtag, other than to honor the people who lost their lives. But in terms of it actually being a new social justice movement, nah. It's the same shit, and we got to keep our foot on the gas pedal until we get the results that we want. That's my personal stance on it. We can talk about it a little bit more as we go too. I don't know if you feel differently about that. Like, should we continue to just, like, every time a new one pops up, like, oh, this is the new thing, this is the new thing, this is the new thing. I was done with the shit a long time ago, but we all agreed that George Floyd was the last one. So if that's the last one, it's the last one.
I think everyone should serve as a reason to elevate how we engage the system.
Sure.
Right? I don't think it's this one is the last one or this is the last straw. Again, I think, we've had this conversation before. As long as we are in America and resources matter, we're going to be in a perpetual fight. The fight never ends. So how can you determine which is the last one, right? And that's why I keep always saying we got to understand our polarity in America and just in the world in general, right? We kind of operate in this space as if we're like we've owned our citizenship, right? In reality, we're prisoners of war. And we are in a continuum in perpetual war.
Right.
So in war, there's casualties.
Right.
So, you got to acknowledge the fact that we're at war.
Right.
You got to acknowledge and honor casualties, and then you got to create strategies to stop them.
Sure.
That's just all. So, I don't think we're the determinant if the last one. We aren't.
Well, this is the last one. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be the last time an unarmed black person is killed by police officers, right? I think that will continue until we're able to do something. When I mean the last one in terms of shifting from this murder to that murder to this murder to that murder, right? It's all the same, right? So what happened to George Floyd can happen to me today, can happen to you tomorrow, can happen to anybody listening to this conversation right now the next day, right? That is just kind of what it is. But for me, I've kind of settled into a place where I feel like this jumping around from, this hashtag to the next, it's kind of, never confuse activity with productivity, right? And we've been very, very active. I don't know that we've been very productive, right? And I think that sometimes every time you kind of switch over from one thing to the next, you start to confuse activity with productivity. Like, oh, we here and we there and we in Louisville and we like cool out, right? We in Louisville, we in Minneapolis, we in Atlanta, we here, we there, we there. Fuck it, we're done, right? Shut all of this shit down until we get what we want. But again, getting what we want is incumbent upon us being able to, it's dependent upon us being able to identify who the fuck we are.
Yeah, but I don't think we fully embrace the idea or the concept that we're war prisoners. Yeah, I don't think we've embraced that idea. Right. I think we have this idea that we can align ourselves or assimilate ourselves into the American paradigm. Right. And I get that. We all citizens of the same system. And it kind of creates this kind of illusion where it makes that deem or seem like a possibility.
Sure.
Right. But you would never have that understanding if you understood that you were a war or you were a prisoner of war. Right. You would never, a POW captured in Vietnam didn't think that one day I'd be able to make my way into the Vietnamese government. Right. Or one day I'd be a Vietnamese citizen, or one day, it doesn't operate that way.
Right.
So until we kind of embrace our citizenship and actualize our citizenship,
right.
And I think that's a false comparison. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think first and foremost, what those murders serve to do is they're like statements of fact.
Sure.
Right. They're like marketing calls for two forms, right? In two ways. That one, for the white supremacists, they're saying, hey, you're comfortable here. This is still your country, right? And then on the other hand, they should alert us to understand that no, we're not comfortable here. This is a system of white supremacy. No, you do have a responsibility here, and there is only a few ways, a few answers to respond, a few ways to respond to said system.
Right.
So once we get there, then we will start responding differently.
Right.
So when we start marching in the streets, I'm not mad at it.
No, hell no.
No, what I'm saying is that's the progression, right? So the marching starts, and then what happens? Then the bricks get thrown through the window,
right.
And then what happens? Then you start to educate yourself a little bit more, and then you start to take over governments. Right. It's a cooling process.
Right.
It's a cooling process, and the white man is scared. He should be, right? So, but it's a process. And we got to recognize it as a process. Right. It's not all at once. It doesn't happen all at once.
Right. With that understanding, let's go ahead and bring in the architect of What's in It for the Black People Media, the one and only Mr. Maze Jackson. He is the host of the Maze Jackson Show each and every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. right here on What's in It for the Black People Media, live on the Maze Jackson page and on WGBX 15.
BGX.
What did I say?
Give me some mic. BGX. I see y'all sabotaging me.
WBGX 1570. He is also the host of formerly the premiere show on What's in It for the Black People Media. Damn! It is soon to be, just the first show on What's in It for the Black People Media. But shout out to you. What's up, Maze? How you feeling, brother?
What's up, Herb? What's up, Two? Man, Two, I just need to say this one more time, man. You sure know how to take the air out of brother boat, man. You be like, it's all a figment of your imagination, man. You know what though? I be like, damn. Can I just?
America's the greatest show on earth. It really is.
That's a fact.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. You all have been kicking ass and taking names, and I am really fired up to see you all take up the second place spot. I don't want y'all to get too used to me being here because I don't want to get y'all ratings up. I noticed that when I came on.
A few more people jumped in.
He jumped up a couple more. But look, y'all. Let me tell you what. First of all, as we continue to build on the brand, this started out as a small vision of having a social media show because I was censored. Grew into the concept of trying to build a studio. Went from building a studio to actually picking up some other shows and building up some programming. You guys were the first guys that I reached out to when we started to do this because I thought you were on the space. Then we added my girl Dawn Millhouse in the building.
Shout out to Dawn.
She is going to be doing the Book of Dawn. We had our guy Mike Brown with Triggered, and then I was thinking like, man, how do we make this thing official? Don't forget, and I'm gonna tell you what. We also have the Bigs, which I probably am. I don't even know how to explain the excitement I have for that particular brand because sports is such an integral part of our lives, and there's just not really a place. And then when you see these brothers got access, like straight up access. I was going through the videos like, damn, you know what? All right.
Yeah.
And then, my sister and I sat down and this has been a dream for about 4 years. I can show you the plans from 4 years ago, but it was always stagnated. And she brought Mike Love and Diz. She worked with them. Mike Love and Diz. She worked with them on the Chicago Famous podcast.
Okay.
After they hadn't talked. Y'all know they hadn't talked for
13 years. I heard that on the morning show today.
They did their show, and when they broke up, they never talked, and they lived 3 miles away. You got to go back and you got to check out the Chicago Famous podcast. But I have been saying that we are going to change the way people view radio.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that I think with that acquisition, they say a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
I think that the addition of Mike and Diz changes, really, it takes it from serious to they trying to hurt somebody. I'm going to tell you right now, we're already touching 80,000 people a week. I'm going to imagine that that's going to triple or quadruple once we add Mike Love and Diz. And I'm going to tell you, that Chicago Famous, you talk about icons. It was funny to see when you ran into him. Yeah. Because you were like, who's this on the birthday? And you were like,
it's legit. That's a Chicago staple, man. You can't be from this city and not know the contribution that they've made to the culture here.
And I wanted them to understand. I think they finally got the fact that they are a Chicago icon.
Absolutely, they are.
Right? I think that for a minute, sometimes you can doubt yourself. I know those guys. I don't think they ever doubted themselves. But what I will tell you is that they got something to prove.
Yeah.
And in having something to prove, that is the best time to be with somebody. I'm going to tell you, because when you got something to prove, then you ain't taking no shorts. So I'm going to tell you, every day we are going to... Highly motivated is not the words for these brothers. These brothers are ready to get it in, and I'm ready to get it in.
You know what though, Mace? I think that's whether you want to use highly motivated or a word that's even better, describes the feeling here. But I think that's true of all of us, right? I think we're all highly motivated, starting with yourself, right? Highly motivated to say, listen, I bet on myself, right? And when you bet on yourself, right, you are highly motivated to succeed in that way. And so you're highly motivated, right? Sonya and her entire production staff highly motivated to make sure that everything that comes across meets the standard that we all want it to be at, right? Tucson and myself highly motivated to take this I Say What I Said conversation to an entirely another level. Mike and Diz, same thing, right? They have their legendary status, but maybe they never doubted themselves, but the doubt kind of sets in around you. Did our time pass? Is it over with? And so to then say, you know what? Nah, let's go out here and prove that we still are who we are. We still can bring what we've always brought. And for them to, take that position and say, okay, let's bring this back is something to be commended, something I'm absolutely looking forward to, because again, I think that they too are highly, highly motivated as well.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, Herb, get ready.
Yeah.
And then I look forward to the competition.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun.
I look forward to all of us having,
it's gonna be
fun,
the
competition, man. It's just all of us not fighting,
yeah,
but working.
It's healthy competition because it's all about improving the product and the content of what we're putting out over here at What's in It for the Black People Media.
Man, we are putting, and I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna put out more content than people are. Do y'all know we got a 12 hour lineup?
Yeah, man.
Like a 12-hour lineup, 5 days a week. And I'm looking forward to you all anchoring the second place spot. I look forward to y'all digging in deep. You know, I got Sonya. We doing the Kanye on y'all, right?
What y'all doing?
We shorting y'all on the beats.
You taking all the good beats off the top?
We taking all the good beats off the top, and after we take all the good beats off the top, I'm gonna tell y'all what, we gonna still get our thing done. But I'm gonna tell y'all, you all.
So that's all good though, because I listen to the lyrics. There's a difference between substance and symbolism.
Let them know.
The beats don't move us, the lyrics do.
Let them know too.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all. There is nothing that I love doing more than raising up black folks and black people, black community, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think that what we have built here, y'all, is something that is going to be, you know how they talk about like the Stretch and Bobbito show and all of those shows from the historical time.
Absolutely.
It's like we making history right now, and I'm gonna tell you, this gonna be this time a year from now. We're gonna be sitting around. We're gonna be, I don't know what we're gonna be smoking.
Right.
My cousin, whatever.
Right, whatever.
Anyway, we all gonna be smoking. We're having a nice cocktail, and we are gonna be celebrating the creation of a media conglomerate that, man, everybody on the piece. I'm gonna tell you, man, I just like the part that we all get to eat together, right? I hate being the only dude at the club. Not the club, because I ain't go to the club.
Right, but I feel you though.
But only dude that's kicking it.
Right.
So I look forward to it, and I'm excited to build with y'all brothers. And y'all hold that second place space down proudly.
Listen, we gonna let you get out of here, but before we do, man, let's touch real briefly on. I know you guys had this conversation earlier. We're gonna have it here as well, and so I'll pull your opinion on it real fast on the Ice Cube video about black people putting themselves in position to be able to demand more for our vote. What do you think about the video, and what's your general opinion on the premise?
My general opinion on the premise is that, you know me, I'm Mr. What's in It for the Black people. I think that.
How'd you feel about that part though? Before you get into your opinion about the actual video, how'd you feel about the fact that What's in It for the Black people has grown legs and spread so far, right? That you got Ice Cube literally saying verbatim What's in It for the Black people.
Well, he said community, so
I heard it, but what I heard was What's in It for the Black people.
I'm gonna tell you, I was honored. So no, straight up, it's an honor to even know that. One of the things that people have always asked me is, Maze, have you copyrighted? And I've done the poor man's copyright, but I really do feel like What's in It for the Black people, that phrase belongs to black people. And if I could get them to be saying it and asking, I could care less about the profit. It's the fact that this conversation is finally making it to the forefront. And I think the hardest part for me with this is us fighting against our own self-interest. Yep. Like, why can't they just answer the question? Instead of us being like, if you ask about your own self-interest, you are the traitor. Right. And I think that probably is the hardest part, because I was like so excited to talk about it. Like, yeah! Right. And then Muggs was like, man, he need to wait till after we beat the... I was like, who says sign the contract blank? Right. And we'll fill it in after
you already got the position.
Well, did we learn that from Wimpy? I'll give you a hamburger, which I was
glad because you ain't getting shit now. Right.
It depends on what side of the spectrum you on, though, man. And I appreciate you saying that, because I fully agree with you, right? But I think the disconnect is that we don't know what is in our best interest, right? So, and it's not just our community; it's every community, right? There's documentaries that they go to like Bumblefuck, Kentucky, and they'll talk to dude who got 1.5 teeth in his mouth, right? And he's like, man, I need to go to the dentist. Kentucky. I need to go to the dentist. And he'll be like, how you feel about Obamacare? Man, I hate that damn Obamacare. Right? But without Obamacare, you could never be seen by a dentist. But just the very nature of it saying Obama, he's anti the funding that he's getting, right? Right. But my point in saying all of that is that there's a disconnect in class too that we don't really grasp, I think, at the lowest levels, right? Which is why we kind of vote along racial lines instead of policy or interest or legislation. We don't even know that shit, right? Which is why we all caping for Kamala right now. She's the goddamn Antichrist in a lot of ways. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? But it's that disconnect that I think, even to the point of Cube saying the "What's in it for the Black people" statement, right? I think one of the greatest inventions of our time is the internet. Sure. And because it allows for distribution in a way that we've never seen before. Okay. Right? It gives voices to the ground level. right? So now, usually when you think about any kind of caste system or just based in class, the ruling class dictates every goddamn thing.
Right.
Even ideas.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So when we think about the Bible, for example, the Bible was the first book, right? Well, what was the power of the Bible? Most motherfuckers couldn't read. So the Bible legitimately changed the world because motherfuckers began to learn to read. And once I can learn to read, wait a minute, I can question some of this bullshit you talking
what school
about.
you go to, though?
It don't matter.
Well,
I went to Dunbar. Let's shout out Dunbar because people disrespecting city schools and I'm a motherfucking genius.
Shout out to the mighty man.
No, I'm just playing. But seriously though, think about it though, right? The Bible legitimately changed the world, right? Radio legitimately changed the world because messaging started to move and got distributed differently.
Sure.
Television changed the world again now because messaging starts to get distributed differently.
Sure.
Social media is legitimately changing the world because again, messaging is getting distributed differently and it's empowering a different group of people, right? And that different group of people is starting to command the energy of the masses. The reparations conversation, although it's not a new conversation, the way it's being had is surely a push from the digital space. That's my mic. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
As you get closer or farther?
Is it your headphones getting close to him? Is it possible?
That might be it.
It could be.
It could possibly be it. But that's exactly what it is, right? So as media changes and it gets distributed differently, the power source shifts. So what that really says is, who really controls the world?
Turn down the mic.
Always.
Headphones.
Media.
Yeah, always.
Right?
That's why we own that. And can I tell you something? That's part of the reason that we did this What's in It for the Black People thing. Because we want to control our own narrative.
Absolutely.
And control our own media.
Yeah.
And I think the fact of the matter is we have created a network of free black men and women who can speak on everything from the rooter to the tutor. That's why I'm excited to to introduce you all to the second place finishers in What's in It for the Black People Radio. Mike and Diz, I'm going to lead the lightweights to you. Take care of my light. What do you used to say? Take care of my lightweight.
Take care of my lightweight. I didn't got to deal with this. Take care of my lightweight. Listen, man, appreciate you, brother. Looking forward to great things, man. Thanks for stopping through.
I'm still working on y'all.
Yeah, I know it. Always on the road,
It's
man.
interesting how I show all the technical difficulties. When I listen to it in the morning, they don't have nothing.
Yeah, I ain't heard no technical difficulty on the Mads Jackson show. You know what I'm saying? They save all the technical difficulties. Right, we get all the guinea pigging happens from 1 to 3. It's all good. We're gonna overcome it anyway.
Shout out
right?
to T Renee for the 200 stars. Shout out to I think it was Dave Shields, my man Dave. Yeah, Dave Shields for the 50 stars, man. We appreciate all y'all. Keep them stars coming, y'all.
Thank y'all so much for the stars. We greatly appreciate it. Please continue to support the show in that particular fashion. 2. We're gonna play the video. I'm gonna hold out on the video because we coming up on the break. So when we come back from the break, we'll play the video. In fact, what we can probably do is we'll play the video during the break. So once we go to break, we'll play the video.
Video?
Yeah, we'll play the Q video. So if you can get that one pulled up, you and Sonya can work that out. And we'll play that during the break. And then when we come back, I'll get your opinion on it. I'll give my opinion on it. We'll go through some of the comments and figure out what you guys think about it. Because I already saw, I said what I said, OG. D.S. Sanders doesn't really seem to be on the same page with us in this particular conversation. D.S., I'm very, very curious to see
what you think about it. Is it just an issue of, man, anybody but Trump?
Don't say anything that could possibly get Trump another 4 years, regardless of what the fuck it is. Is there absolutely nothing that could keep you from voting for Joe Biden? And again, I'm not even advocating that you don't vote for Joe Biden. I'm not. Well, I am, but I'm not saying vote for Trump either, right? But I'm not. It's not about bashing Joe Biden. It is about what are we getting from that particular vote. And if it's only somebody other than Trump, I would say that that's not good enough. That's not really good enough. But I know that's a prevailing thought in the black community right now, all across this country. I'm curious to see if somebody else thinks that way too. How do you reconcile that particular?
Anybody but Trump. Fully understanding who he is and
his arrogance, the rhetoric that he spews, the hate, the sexism, the misogyny, all of it, right? All of that comes along with Donald Trump. Fully understanding that piece. Is that enough for you to reconcile anybody but him?
That's what I mean when I say America's the greatest show on earth. It's all a performance, right? So there's a difference between calling me a nigga and treat me like a nigga.
Right.
right?
Right.
And not to say that there's a huge distinction in what Trump does, because that would be a falsehood, right? He definitely calls us a nigga every day.
Yeah.
Right?
He does.
But he also calls everybody else a nigga. And therein lies the difference.
Equal opportunity nigga.
You could balance this shit out and I can operate from that space.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But what we got to understand, when you start creating policy that only affects my community, you're treating me like a nigga. Right? When Joe Biden stands on the Senate floor and says he has no empathy or no regrets for sending all them black boys to jail, and he knows that the system was created to perpetuate those kind of beliefs and values, and I still don't give a fuck, because in that essence, they might attack my grandmama, and my grandmama essentially what he's saying is more valuable than that wild ass kid that I created. That's treating me like a nigga. And again, there's nuance in this conversation, right? I'm not here Trump caping for Trump. I'm not here advocating for Trump, but I'm also not here advocating for any of my adversaries, right? And bro, if you're my motherfucking enemy, you're my motherfucking enemy. And that's why negotiating someone to go after another enemy together, you're just my fucking enemy.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's it.
But if we ain't got no common enemy,
You're just an enemy.
Right.
That's it. So there's a nuanced conversation needs to be had.
Yeah.
Right? So the lesser of two evils still represents evil. And what I'm starting to, and what I want to kind of, the beauty of Trump is his ignorance.
right.
Right? Part of the beauty of Trump is his narcissism.
Right.
Part of the beauty of Trump is that you can manipulate and control anybody who's that ego goddamn driven.
He's screaming and yelling from a mile away. You hear him coming, you see him coming, you can prepare yourself, you can understand how to combat that.
Feed his ego and you control him.
Buddy ass trying to come around through the back door with a black woman.
Feed his ego and you control him. But the Democratic Party is much more strategic. And I'm going to stop saying the Democratic Party. We got to stop doing this. This is the thing I noticed, and it starts to irritate me. White folks have successfully rebranded racism as a Republican Party issue. And that's a fallacy.
And it's complete bullshit. I got to pause you right there, brother. I want to get to the break.
While we are on the break, if we can, we are going to play the Ice Cube video. Ice Cube came out, just challenged black people, right? He just really posed the question: what's in it for the black people if we all voting for Joe Biden? What is in it for us? This is I Said What I Said. We're going to take a quick break. We can watch the video during the break. When we come back, I'll give his, and then as always, we want to hear from you. So get your comments prepared for this video. Again, two and I ain't always right? We lead this conversation, but it's not just about us. So we want to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson Warner, Herb Howard. We'll be right back after this video from Ice Cube. We all voting for Joe Biden. What is
over the last 4 days?
This is I Said What I Said. We're going to take a quick break and watch the video during the break.
Democratic.
Get both sounds.
His, and then as always, we want to hear from you. So get your comments prepared for this video.
Hold on.
Yeah, let that promo go through.
Conversation, but it's not just about us. So we want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Because that's what you're getting is a delay.
The delay.
You're getting a delay.
So should I just let it play?
Yeah, let it play, and then bring the thing back.
So over the last 4 days,
I can't see it because I don't have it up on there.
as always, we want to hear from you. So get your comments prepared for this video.
Let that promo go through.
Conversation, but it's not just about us. So we want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Somebody tell me what y'all hearing out there.
The delay.
We're getting a delay.
So should I just let it play?
Y'all tell me what y'all hearing out there. Because I'm hearing one thing in my headphones, I'm hearing another thing through my screen, and I don't know. I want y'all to just be hearing the video.
What I didn't hear is what's in it for the black community besides the same
Somebody tell me what y'all hearing out there.
I ain't hear anybody else.
Y'all tell me what y'all hearing out there. Because I'm hearing one thing in my head.
Adrian, I agree.
On my screen, and I don't know. I want y'all to just be hearing the video. They say May sabotaged y'all when y'all sound when he left.
Ruthie headphones. So you got Ruthie's headphones. Hold on.
Anyway, to pay nothing. So we got to start something right now. Democrats don't seem like they got a plan. Republicans don't seem like they got a plan for us. Okay. So how the hell you gonna vote for them? Make them earn that vote. They can start today. They ain't got it yet. They can start today. Make their ass earn that vote, man. Stop playing with these people, and they'll stop playing with you. Anyway, to pay nothing. So we got to start something right now. Democrats don't seem.
What's happening?
What you doing? Bring the volume back up. You playing audio? No, turn it back to the.
You showing my screen?
Yeah, I didn't mean to be showing your screen, though.
So where are we at with it? We gonna try to run it again?
Yeah, because they saying this.
They didn't hear it
They
because
saying
I
they
had
can finally hear it now. So we good. Hey, Esco, bring me back to. Hold on for a second. Take it back to the beginning. Bring me back. What's going on, good people? We are back. We are live from the May Said Studios at What's in It for the Black People Media. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Tucson, Warner here with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Y'all know we're trying to work these things out. We're trying to bring y'all these clips so that y'all can see them and hear them, right? So we're trying to make sure we can match up everything. A little bit of challenge. I think we finally got the sound out. I appreciate y'all for letting us know. When I tell y'all are actually a part of I Said What I Said, that's exactly what we mean, right? So y'all are absolutely a part of it. We're trying to lean on y'all to figure out what y'all can hear and trying to tell y'all what we can hear as well. So y'all were saying that there was a lot of sound going on. At first you could hear me, you could hear Cube, you could hear the music, and then towards the end, y'all finally were able to hear Cube properly. So I think we got that set up, and so now we're going to try and bring you back that audio again. It's about 3 minutes of audio, so we'll bring that audio back so that we can have the conversation, making sure that everybody was able to hear Cube properly. So again, thank y'all for bearing with us. We truly, truly appreciate it. We're going to bring back the audio from Ice Cube talking about what black people should be doing as we prepare for the 2020 election. Veronica, that's absolutely hilarious. She said, "Up the rear, no Vaseline." Here is the video of Ice Cube. Go ahead and play it, too.
Over the last 4 days, the Democratic National Party held a convention. A lot of people, you know what I mean, getting up there and talking, and, you know, everybody really, eating it up, you know, throwing their hands in the air like they just don't care down there. So it's you know, what I didn't hear is what's in it for us? What's in it for the black community besides the same old thing we've been getting from these parties? What's in it for us, for real? You know, I didn't hear anybody mention a contract with Black America. And I don't know why, because it's one of the most comprehensive reform documents that's come about in a long time that could really address the problem. The way it look, they don't have a plan. Everybody's, you know, talking about get Trump out, get Trump out, get Trump out. If you vote, that's going to happen on the first day. So now what? Trump out, now what? What? What do we get in the first 100 days? That's what we're trying to figure out. What do we actually get that they could give us overnight like that? They just pulled $3 trillion out their ass and gave it to their friends. That's American taxpayer money. That's your money that they just gave away. And then there's 42% of black businesses closing. None of that money. Where's our fucking bailout? Where's the bailout? Not the PPP. PPP loan that they didn't give us? Where's the bailout? I don't want to hear about deficit. I don't want to hear about what our generations gonna have to pay. Because if we don't have shit, they ain't gonna have shit anyway to pay nothing. So we gotta start something right now. Democrats don't seem like they got a plan. Republicans don't seem like they got a plan for us. So how the hell you gonna vote for them? Make them earn that vote. They can start today. They ain't got it yet. They can start today. Make their ass earn that vote, man. Stop playing with these people, and they'll stop playing with you.
Stop playing with these people, and they will stop playing with you. Is the message that Cube was trying to deliver. Stop playing with these people. That stop playing with you. I think we've been playing with these people for far too long. I think we've been playing with ourselves, really, right? In terms of what it is that we want and what we can get from it. Two, I'll let you open this conversation with your particular stance on Cube's video in particular, but also your general thoughts on how black people operate in, within, and around the Democratic Party.
So one, I support Cube in making a statement.
Cube also has something called a contract for black people that he created with somebody. I don't know if it was just him himself. It seemed like somebody helped him create it. But it's like a black agenda.
Sure.
Right? How you feel about that agenda specifically? I think he's right.
Sure.
Right? But what concerns me, I guess, at a greater level is that who could argue that he's right? Right, and I think that's where we kind of have the disconnect about the people who don't recognize that he's right, and some of the backlash, and not just from Cube, but from anybody that's making a statement to say, "Hey, what about the black people? Or what's in it for the black people?"
Sure.
There's a huge segment of our population that's responding, saying, "Well, that's not the election to ask what's in it for the black people. The election today." The election what we need to be focused on today is just getting Trump out of office.
Right.
And part of the disconnect in how we move immaturely in regards to the polls is that's specifically how we go into them. Right? We have this whose interests are important.
Sure.
Which is why we struggle, right? We struggle because we don't have an identity. And because we don't have an identity, we don't even know what the hell our interests are.
Absolutely.
Right? So you get Kamala conversation say, well, she is black. Yes, she is black, for sure. I can't argue that, right? But so with Shaka Zulu. That don't make me and him the same thing. Right? So until we have a full understanding of our identity, I struggle to understand when we'll ever get a grasp of our interests. Because how could you have our interest without an R? You know what I mean?
Who are we?
Who are we?
Right.
So again, therein lies the context of the conversation. That's the totality of the conversation, if you ask me.
Right.
How could you ever get to our interest if we've not defined the R part?
This is our interest. Well, who the fuck are we? Right? That's a real question. Listen, we got to take a break. When we come back from break, I only want your opinion. I'm going to go through as many comments as I can possibly go through. I am especially looking to hear from those of you who feel other than myself, other than Tucson, other than Ice Cube on this particular issue. Maybe we got this thing wrong, right? Maybe we do need to blindly throw our support behind Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Maybe it is anybody but Trump. I want to hear from you. If that's your particular stance, I would love to know why. I want to talk through it. I'm going to talk about that on the other side of this break. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Tucson, want to here with you to 3 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Shout out to Veronica Morris. 500 stars, man. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Veronica. We truly appreciate the stars. Thank y'all so much for continuing to support the show and contribute to it in that way. We greatly appreciate anybody who is willing and able to click those gold stars to support the show in that way. It means a whole lot to us. So thank y'all so much for choosing to do so. Appreciate you, Veronica. I don't know, too.
You don't know what?
It's just, we get in these spaces where it's just like people want to throw things out that nobody can really dispute, right? Trump is an asshole. Yep. Yep, he is, right? Trump is racist. Yep, he is. And he's ignorant, and he's arrogant, and he's sexist, and he's a bit like, all of that shit is true. But as Cube said, okay, if everybody show up and vote, Trump will be out of there on day one. Then motherfucking what? Then what? All of a sudden it's going to be utopia for black people in this country?
I think the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing
you
people
that it
that
doesn't exist. Right? So what they do is they make Trump the face of
Rachel
racism.
Hart, thank you for the 100 stars. We truly appreciate it.
They make Trump the face
Face of racism. They make the RNC the face of racism.
Sure.
Right? Whiteness
is the face of racism. Capitalism is the face of racism. But we love that shit.
Yeah, we do.
We love that shit, so we embrace it at a different level, man. But it's the same conversation with the dude I said was in Bubblefuck, West Kentucky. Right? He don't like Obama, so the hell with my own teeth. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of conversation, right? We spite our face, we spite our nose. What they say, you spite your nose, cut off your nose, to spite your face. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's because we lack the information.
Sure.
Right? So it's never not in your interest to look out for your interest. You understand what I'm saying? That's not even a logical fucking statement.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Right? But we don't know our interest because we don't know who we are. And that's not just in the context of our blackness, that's in the context of what it means to be an American citizen too.
Listen, can you pull up the contract? I want to go through some of that. I want to go through some of that when we come from the break, right? Just some of the points, and we can talk through. We don't necessarily have to agree about all of them, but I just want to talk through some of those points as we go through the break. Y'all, we're gonna be back live with the conversation in about 2 minutes. I really want to hear from y'all who would disagree with myself and two or Q. I want to know what y'all think.
Again, man, we always appreciate you all rocking with us. Again, share. We're trying to grow the audience. We're trying to grow the conversation. Share. Rachel Hart, thanks for the stars, man. We greatly appreciate you. Everybody that's listening, man. We appreciate everybody just listening in general, man. Share. We're trying to broaden the audience. Salim says, Cube is right about how easily the government can manufacture currency. That's true. They did just come up with $3 trillion out of nowhere. You know, when we start looking at the estimates of reparations, that's another thing. Like, you know, we could talk a lot about what's the black agenda, man. I think the black agenda starts and stops with one conversation. Reparations, period. You know, I think there's been some estimates between like 12 and like $30 trillion that is owed to the descendants of American slaves. And when you start thinking about that number, you know, standing alone, it seems like a extremely large number. But when you start to juxtapose it to like how wealth shifts in this country, it's not. They can absolutely come up with $30 trillion that they owe us. And not only do they owe it, they owe it because we need it to sustain. Without it, we can't sustain as a populace. Therein lies the problem with the black community just blindly voting for Kamala Harris, right? Without them having any black agenda, they're legitimately making Kamala Harris your reparations. And that's not good enough. You know, they did the same thing with Barack Obama. That's not good enough. You know, and there lies another question. There is some nuances to that question, right? Why does the first black president have to have a Kenyan father? Why does the first black vice president have to have a Jamaican father? Where's the representatives from Alabama? Where's the representatives from Georgia? Because that's really where black people are from, at least black people in this country, right? So that's black Mecca in regards to like American descendants of slavery. You know what I mean? Mississippi today is the blackest state in the union. This the blackest state in the union because that's one of the ports for cotton. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? That is Mecca for us, and we got to acknowledge that and be honest about it. So, you know, when you start the conversation about whether or not Kamala is black or not, she absolutely is black. But there's a specific distinction for American descendants of slavery, and we got to understand that. And there's value to understanding that conversation. There's value to understanding that nuance. There's value to understanding that distinction. Share.
And then, so the premise was that everybody gets that. Ooh. Really? Okay. Okay.
Tree says people are angry because Cube is a rich guy who's telling folks not to vote unless we are promised something tangible. But let's unpack that. How much distance is there between Cube and us? I mean, really, we can just look at the economics we have and also look at the equity. Cube raised some salient points. If they don't start talking about what's in it for us, we should not just assume that something will come down the pipe, because it won't. Yeah, I agree.
It ain't coming.
That's the whole purpose of voting, right? That's the whole purpose, right? Pick the power you want.
Okay. So we're gonna be live in just a second. Okay. And we are back with you. We are live from the Maze Said Studios here at What's In It for the Black People Media, live on the Maze Jackson page. This is I Said What I Said, Herb Howard too, so I'm Warner here with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Intellectual thuggery at its finest. This is the blackest conversation in the country, and we thank y'all so much for being a part of it. Right before we went to break, we were having a conversation about Ice Cube put out a video pretty much challenging black people to make a demand for our vote. We'll vote for you, Joe Biden, VP Kamala Harris. We'll vote for your ticket, but what are we going to get from it? And I don't think that's a bad question to ask. But I think emotionally, black people are in such a space where we want Donald Trump out of office so bad. And I'm not here to argue that piece. But are we just going to take anything other than that? That is the question that I have for you all, right? So I want to know if anybody is actually leaning that way. So I know you were going through some of the comments. Did you see anybody that was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck what comes as long as Trump is out?
Not specifically in these comments.
Not in this conversation? Good.
No.
Good. I wouldn't necessarily expect that type of blind loyalty from the I Said What I Said family, but that is absolutely something that I have been hearing, right? You know, through the course of this entire process. When there was talk about, you know, is Joe Biden even mentally fit to be president, right? Is he going through like early onset Alzheimer's, or is he dealing with, you know, some type of dementia. Right? And people were like, listen, I don't give a fuck if he had a stroke and never recovered. I'm voting for him, right? Because anybody but Trump. And I think that's a problem, right? I think that, you know, Ice Cube makes a great fucking point. It's the point that we've been trying to make for a very long time. It's the point that Maze has been trying to make for a very long time. What the fuck are we getting out of these investments that you want us to continue to make into your party, into your ticket, or whatever else it may be? What's in it for us?
What we get out of it is what we've been getting out of it. We get cultural capital, right? It's like currency. It's the cool factor. I get to wear the Obama logo shirt. Think about this shit.
That and $250 to get you on the bus.
This is something we didn't think about, man. And the Republican Party made note of this during the Obama election cycle, right? They was like, he's a pseudo celebrity, right? And
Sure.
it was ignorant because all of them are pseudo celebrities, right? But there is something to be said about the way Obama ran his campaign. What Obama did was like he treated that shit like a rap album, right? He had a logo, and think about it. Everybody and their mama has an Obama t-shirt somewhere in their closet, specifically you from my community, right? So it's cultural capital to be saying I'm part of the group if I'm rocking the Obama shirt. I'm part of the group if I say Black Lives Matter, really not having any understanding of who Black Lives really matters is as an organization, right? It's part of the cultural collateral. I can say I'm got the cool factor because I support XYZ. I got the cool factor because I don't support XYZ. Right? So, but you don't really know what XYZ really is or what XYZ is really doing. You just know that the brand of whatever XYZ is popular in my community.
Yeah.
And it's popular for me to be down with XYZ brand.
That's it.
Right? For me to understand who Black Lives Matter is, I would have to do some investment in research.
Sure.
For me to understand what policies Trump has created or not created, I'd have to do more than just go out to the march on the street. Right? I'd have to be paying attention to policy. I had to be paying attention to
It requires something of me.
I'd have to work, right?
Right.
And that's what it is, right? We just reading the headlines and not getting to the bulk of the article.
Right.
Right. We eat all the appetizers, all the icing, but never touch the cake. We like all the cream filling. You know what I mean? But at some point in time, you got to do the work. You have to.
No, you have to be ready and willing to do the work. It's an inconvenient space to be in. I understand that part. I understand that it's inconvenient for you to have to do something, right? But I think that it is in that doing of that something that is going to allow us to not only bring about our new normal or our liberation, but to actually be the architects of what that new normal looks like.
You asked, did we get any comments specifically like supporting?
You found one, didn't you?
It's not necessarily in support of.
I found a lot of people saying the other ways. Like they've seen a lot of that shit.
But Jamal Stevens says you have 4 years to make this argument. And what I argue, what the argument I would make to Jamal Stevens is that this argument has been happening for way more than 4 years. It's just not been elevated.
Jamal just left 2 zeros off of his number. He meant 400.
Yeah, but again, right? This you're right? This argument has been since the beginning of time. It's the argument that Nat Turner had with the other 200 slaves that he decided to kill first. Right? It's not a new argument. Right? But the powers that be crush the logic because we raise up dumb people. It just is what it is. It's not. It doesn't compute. And I'm not calling Jamal dumb. I'm just saying that's how the masses works, right? That's why I said. But when the Bible came along, it changed the world. When radio came along, it changed the world. When TV came along, it changed the world. When social media came along, it changed the world. But in every one of those contexts, there's someone who didn't have a Bible. They didn't change with the world. There's someone who didn't have a radio. They didn't change with the world. They're behind the curve. There's someone who doesn't have a TV. They didn't change with the world either. They're still behind the curve. Right? We know 1 in 5 black households has a computer today. So if you accessing social media, you only accessing it from your phone. But you're not part of the digital fold in the way that it's moving. You don't have access to understanding the internet like someone who has a CPU does. Right? So you're going to be behind the fold. Information is progressing constantly. And if you're not engaging in the information, then guess what the fuck you are? Behind the fold. It just is what it is.
Period. Ain't no way around it, right? You're either informed or you are not, right? And in this day and age, when we live in the information age, to be uninformed is absolutely a choice. You are choosing to be uninformed. You are choosing to make your decisions based off one of two things. Either one, how you emotionally feel about something, which is fine. Nobody's trying to discredit your emotions. They're natural and they're what you actually feel. But in the grand scheme of things, in terms of productivity, how you feel don't mean shit, right? It don't mean shit. It's about what you're doing and what somebody else is doing to you or for you, right? How you feel don't really factor into the fucking equation here, right? I get it. It's valid. It's how you feel, but just understand that it doesn't really mean anything, right? And that it just is what it is on that piece, right? The other reason that could cause you to move a certain way is if it's not about how you feel, then it's about what you're told, right? We live in this day and age where everybody gets these headlines or these 15-second clips of this or 15-second clips of that, and we draw our conclusions off the headline. Nobody really clicks the actual article to read what's in it. The headline said this, I understand it now, right? The 15-second clip said this, I understand it now. When there's an opportunity to peace out to the first lady of What's In It for the Black People Media, Dawn is dipping out of here. She's going to be on from, is she 9 to 11? She's 9 to 11. You can hear her here on What's In It for the Black People Media. But, you know, you got to get to this space where you're not having your opinion given to you. You're forming your opinion based off what you actually believe on your own. I think that far too often right now, too many of us are forming our opinion based solely off what's being given to us. And if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll find that what's being presented to you is a lot more sleight of hand than it is substantive content.
Imaging and messaging absolutely dictates behavior. Imaging and messaging absolutely dictates behavior, right? So when they start talking about the Russian bots or the Russian interference in the election, right? How did they leverage those bots? How did they leverage that interference, right? They didn't go to the staunch Trump supporter and say, hey, reinforce this message to Trump. No. They didn't go to the staunch Hillary report and say, hey, reinforce this message with Hillary.
It's the middle.
They went to the middle. The guy who was walking
I don't fucking know.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm blow the wind.
I'm not figuring it out. So if you're undecided and I got a goal here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to market an idea to you that's going to sell you on the guy that I want you to elect, right? So what happens in those kind of murky waters, the conversation gets very convoluted, right? And we're talking about Russian bots. That's one way to look at it. But there's other conversations that need to be had because it's not just Russian bots.
No, it's the same
This
thing.
is a fucking strategy from both parties, right? Just last week, I think it was Nancy Pelosi came out and said they had I forgot what she called the strategy, but they blatantly throw out a lie. Right, and once the lie is blatantly out there, it don't matter if you retract, because the lie is already greater than the retraction.
Once you hear it twice, it ain't in the room no more. That's what I say.
It's
just strategy, right? It would be the same thing for, there's no reason for Barack to come through Chicago on his second presidential term, right? He ain't got to come through here, right? It's a waste of your motherfucking time to come through here. They gonna vote for you anyway, right? Barack got Chicago. He gonna win Illinois regardless. Come through, send a car, send some flowers or whatever, but you don't got to spend a whole day here trying to put together no whole speech here. You got this on lock. What you need to do is go to Ohio or go to Pennsylvania, one of these states where, I don't know, it's a swing state, right? That's where you need to go spend your time at. And so they do the same thing virtually or otherwise, trying to get the people who are sitting on that
here's
fence.
why identity is important. Identity becomes important in that conversation because there are no permanent enemies and there are no permanent friends. There are only permanent interests. And those permanent interests are only reflected by the idea of the group.
Say that.
Right? So when we struggle with our identity, our interests shift because we've not defined who the group is.
Right.
So when I say there's only one agenda, and that agenda is reparations, because we like to think we're not a monolith.
Agenda for who?
When we like to think we're not a monolith.
There it goes.
But when we start to look at black economics, we're monolithic than a motherfucker.
Yeah, but until we all agree on that and understand that, then it still becomes a question of that's the agenda for who. When you talk about this idea of being fooled, hoodwinked, run amok, led astray, right? All of the things that Malcolm X said, right? We have a prime example of what that looks like from a politician's standpoint, right? Joe Biden, this past weekend, gave a speech at the DNC. Two's gonna pull up a video.
But I thought you wanted to get into this Cube contract first.
Oh, you know what?
So I still got the Cube contract up, and I think it's worth taking a look at because, you know, there's some back and forth with whether or not this contract has any validity, but I think it does have some validity, specifically coming from Ice Cube, right? I'm not looking for, like, the answer from Ice Cube.
All right, tell you what, this is what we'll do. We'll go through the contract over this break here. We'll read through it. If y'all want to hang around for the break, we'll read through this contract together. When we come back from the break, we'll kind of delve into the contract, what it looks like, what it means for us. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Can we implement it? Can we agree on it? Can we sign it? Can we not? At 2:30, we'll play the video of Joe Biden's 2020 Democratic National Convention speech and his 2008 presidential, vice presidential candidate speech. So you can compare the two videos for yourself. Right now, we're going to take a break. During the break, we're going to go through the contract that Ice Cube was a part of. Let's want to see what you guys think about it. We'll read through it. We'll break it down together. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson Warner, Herb Howard here with you till 3 o'clock. We'll be right back after this. All right, Two, let's pull it up, brother. Let's see. Let me pop it like, let's do it like this. Let's go. Bang, bang, bang. I shot you down, bang, bang. You hit the ground, bang, bang.
You can't pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm finna pull it up. I got it on my screen. It'll be on that screen here in just a second. Y'all should see this contract from Ice Cube here in just a second. I'm gonna try to see if we can, if I can zoom in on that thing. Oh no, it's literally mirroring that screen, so I can't get it no closer.
It's all good, man. But the breakdown, the bill is numbered from 1 to 10. Number 1 says, bill to guarantee black opportunity and representation, right? Adopt a plan of neo-reconstruction to redress past wrongdoing systemically imposed on black Americans economically throughout many generations that has resulted in a wealth gap, where the average white family has 10 times more wealth than the black family. In addition to some economic initiatives listed below, also formally apologize to black Americans for past discrimination and slavery. So we're just gonna read through them quickly.
Yo, Esco, can you kill that music?
Bank lending reform.
Bank lending reform says bank lending will be regulated to require banks to lend a percentage of all loan and credit categories on an equal basis to the black population each bank serves. However, the minimum threshold must yearly meet the percentage equal to the national black population, currently approximately 13.4%. Rates on black loans federally and from banks to be same average as whites, right? And so already we getting into a conversation about money, right? We talking about the money. Two has been telling y'all for a long time that we talk about this conversation about reparations. You talk about the conversation about reparations. That has to be what we use as a bit of a band-aid to allow us to remain afloat until we can really get to the core of the issue, which is self-love, unity, identity. But it's hard to get to those when you're fucking starving. So we need the bread, right? Number 3, federal funding of baby bonds. Pass federal programming providing every child with a government-funded trust account at birth, starting with a $1,000 contribution, as proposed by Senator Booker and Representative Presley. Accounts to be managed by the Treasury, and only those born into lower wealth families will receive more contributions each year up to $46,500 total. At age 18, access to the funds allowed but use restricted to asset-enhancing actions such as buying homes, starting businesses, and funding education. Number 4, Federal Reserve of Government pensions. For qualified black Americans, which is always a question for me when they say qualified, Federal Reserve to allow a one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. The Fed to ensure banks and institutions it oversees comply with bank lending reform. Feds to adopt modern monetary theory with goal of full employment and avoidance of actual inflation. Federal and state pension funds control over $1 trillion. They must allocate 13.4% of their investments. Money again, right? So I think that, you know, I really just kind of want to hit on what the main topics are too. So you can hit those real quick.
Yeah, so go back to the money conversation.
Financial oversight, personal debt and credit, prison reform. Prison reform is a little differently. Privately run prisons will be abolished. Prison labor disallowed without consent, and for nonviolent offenders incarcerated for 10 years or longer will be freed if good behavior standards are met. All prisoners for marijuana possession be freed. That's important. You know, Mays always talks about the marijuana bills or the marijuana licenses that have been passed in the city of Chicago, and how even though, you know, I think they said something like 60% of the black prison population is based on marijuana convictions and arrests. But when we start to legalize the marijuana opportunity to get licensing, we get cut out of that conversation. That's part of our reparations conversation. Now, Cube has a long way to go, and there are other people that are actual experts in this field who have made different provisions and have different estimates. And I think that's cool, but I don't think Cube was trying to go in as a politician. I think he was just saying, from my platform, from my standard, because of who I am, and I can get the ears of the people, here's what I've been working on. I think it makes sense. I don't think this is the end-all, be-all. I think this plan needs a lot of work. But because of who he is, it gets a lot more attention than, let's say, somebody who's specifically focused in on politics or specifically focused in on economics. And there are people who really are specifically focused on politics and specifically focused in on economics, right? So I think Q opens the door with this conversation for us to start doing the research and start paying attention to those people who are specifically focused on politics and specifically focused on economics, right? So when you start thinking about the conversations about reparations specifically, I saw somebody on there, I think it was D.S. Sanders, but don't quote me, they talked about H.R. 40, for example. Well, I think up until very recently, within the last, 2 years or so, I think H.R. 40 had 2 signatures on it. Today it has something like 44. So yeah, it's been a conversation forever, but it was never on the DNC stage, DNC debate stage. It made it to the DNC debate stage this year for the first time ever in history. And it got there through Marianne Williamson, who was a candidate that nobody took serious. But because she came to the conversation and equipped with that information, it changed the context of the conversation that everybody else on the stage was having. And I want you all to pay attention too. Now that Kamala Harris is being ushered in as a black woman, that conversation is dissipated. It's not there anymore. And that's the only conversation our community should be having. I don't give a shit how you feel about it. In regards to the economics of the situation, black people are monolithic.
Period.
And that is what America is. This shit is Vegas. You hear, you roll the dice, you get your winnings, and you go back to the land that you give a shit about.
Right.
But we don't have any other land.
Right.
And we've been rolling the dice and just taking losses.
Right.
It's time for some wins. We rolling the dice because the dice we've been rolling are rigged.
Right.
We got to learn the difference. That's it. So there were some other ones: prison reform, judicial reform, police reform. All these are very important.
Yeah.
FCC licensing and public airways reform. That goes back to the.
We spent the break with you guys kind of going through this contract that Ice Cube was a part of, that he presented to say, okay, here's the contract that black people should want for anybody who we're throwing our support behind in terms of the political process, in terms of voting for president. Here's what we want. Can you agree to giving us what we want? Toussaint and I were reading through some of the points of this. I think it's is it a 13-item contract? Are there 13 items in the contract too?
I believe so. And the last item on the 13th item listed in the agenda is important. And it says black responsibility.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Black responsibility. Chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. There are some conditions that plague the black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty. We're dealing with extreme generational poverty. Damn it. As we begin to gain social and economic equality, it is our duty to clean up ourselves and our community. This contract is a two-way street. As we gain social and economic equality, we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. We must become better citizens who are more productive on all levels of American society. We must step up after we pass the contract with Black America with no more excuses left in the kitty. Our entertainers should be persuaded to deliver more positive content that leads our youth to make better choices in life. A new pride must develop with these new opportunities, and we must fight against negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence.
So a new pride must be developed with these new opportunities, right? We must fight against negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence.
Right.
Now, once you get to against negativity, that frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence, I would almost argue that more than a third of that is attributed to lack of economic resources in the United States of America.
At least.
So therein lies the nuance of the conversation, right? I say it's a nuanced conversation. It is a spiritual conversation.
Always.
Right? But there's the economic portion of this nuanced conversation prevents the hemorrhaging. It prevents us from bleeding out. It gives us room to address our spiritual understanding of our positioning in America.
It does.
Right? So I said the reason why Black responsibility is important because that's usually the backlash when people talk about reparations. It's like, what's your responsibility in the conversation? Do we have a responsibility? Absolutely. But I'm getting sick and tired of saying people claiming that talking about the financial understanding of our position in America is an excuse. There's a fucking difference between an excuse and a reason. Right? This is the reason.
Right.
Fuck you talking about this as an excuse.
Yeah, as always,
this is the reason.
As always, what helps me understand things as much as anything is sports, right? And so, go through sports all your life, you hear people say, oh, don't make excuses, y'all lost because y'all lost. Well, it's not about an excuse. Our starting quarterback he was injured. He couldn't play, right? You can call it an excuse if you want. It's a fucking reason, right? That's a real reason. Now, are we trying to make excuses? No. Do we still got to go out there and play? Absolutely. But there is a reason for this thing happening, right? And so these are real injuries to our community. These are real harms done to our community. And when you address these real harms, you have to understand that there are reasons for some of the behavior, for some of the decisions, for some of the choices that are made within our community, right? And so, and I think the contract hits on that. When they talk about, it then becomes the responsibility of entertainers to put out more positive messaging, to be more positively impactful on the lives of young people, to not say, okay, it can't just be about, let's sell dope, let's shoot the block up, wet ass pussy, or none of the rest of it, right? And that's not to knock any of them, right? This is a message coming from Ice Cube, who has made some of the most angry, visceral music of our time, right? So
But whether you selling dope or selling pussy, you're selling it for capital.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So hence lies the barrier to where our struggle lies. That's where our struggle is. Capital is our struggle, which I keep saying. That's the only agenda we need to have. Because it allows us room to fix all the other shit. That's where we lack the help.
Right.
We at the goddamn gambling table at Vegas with no money and you expecting us to win.
Right.
We can't even play.
You can't play.
That's part of the part of the process. You got to have money to play. We compare this game to Monopoly all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't have the startup money to get in the game, then you're not in the game. I don't give a shit how many times you roll the dice. You're not in the game. So to the point of the clip that we played from King a couple weeks ago, you gave us our freedom, pseudo, quote unquote, but you also gave us famine simultaneously, and we've not grown beyond the famine, right? And then you're expecting
freedom don't mean shit.
You're right. It don't mean shit. It don't mean shit, right? So you're expecting American results, right? Where you've legislated the middle class for everybody else in this motherfucker, but you've also legislated our failure.
Yeah.
So when we start talking about reparations, it's not an ask. You're not giving me shit. It ain't a handout.
It's an economic.
You owe me this. You owe me this.
Period.
Run that bread.
Period. And that's where and I don't want to go too ADOS on this conversation, but that's where other people are not qualified. They want to come in on these reparations and say, well, we've been treated bad since we've been here too. We black too. It's not about being treated bad, right? This is about you have bread in your pocket that you only have because of us. Run us our shit, right? And it's an economic conversation that we absolutely must have, right? I spent Saturday at my little cousin. He's 22 years old. I spent Saturday at his funeral, right? And after his funeral, I spent a good bit of time talking to all his friends that sat all in the back. And they all had on their little Burberry shirts. That was the theme of the funeral, right? They all had on their shit. So I'm talking to all his friends, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just chopping it up with them, and I'm trying to figure out what can I do to help y'all make different choices, right? Because it's not about better or worse, different choices than the ones y'all making right now. Because y'all see where this shit is going, and they like, man, we don't got no opportunities, right? I got locked up at 16. I got locked up at 17. They hit me with a felony. Don't nobody want to hire me. I don't got no opportunity. I got to do this. I got to do that. I hear you, right? And it's an economic conversation. But if you can't provide that for them, then they're going to do the same thing they want to do, right? And then this morning, or actually just as I was walking to the studio today, I get 2 text messages saying that one of the young men that my little cousin was with on the night he got killed last night, he got shot. He's paralyzed now, right? And I just saw you 2 days ago, right? Trying to have this conversation with you, but you're like, dude, I can't do nothing else, right? I gotta do it, and this is what it comes down to. Now, sitting on your couch or sitting at home in the comfort of your own home, or having pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, right? You may say, oh, no, more statistics, more shooting, these kids out here wilding, they crazy, fuck them, right? But without those opportunities, what else do you expect, right? They aren't just statistics. They aren't just numbers, right? Are they making poor decisions? Absolutely. I'm not trying to excuse any of them, right? Have I made some of those very same decisions, though? Absolutely. Do I understand how you make those decisions? Absolutely. It comes from a place.
So you said something about pulling yourself up from your bootstraps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a preacher named, I think his name is Samuel Proctor.
Okay.
Right? And Samuel Proctor has a speech called Above the Scratch Line. Right? He talks about being born above the scratch line. And I'm trying to find that speech on YouTube because I would love to play it right now. It's a short speech, right? It's like 5 minutes at best. But we don't understand what that really means, right? I had a hand up in the world. I had several hands up in the world. And I was born on the south side of Chicago in a home that sometimes didn't have heat.
Sure.
And I openly acknowledge that even with those kind of struggles,
right,
I had a hand up in the world.
Right.
My mother loved me. My father loved me unconditionally. I knew that. I felt that from the minute I showed up on this planet.
Right.
Right? They loved me. They could read. I had grandparents that could read. My grandfather was anchored into a home that he was able to get from the GI Bill. I had several layers of aid that I know a cat that was growing up right next door to me did not have. So what is the context of pulling yourself up from your bootstraps? Am I pulling myself up from my bootstrap because I was born in 9407 and he was born in 9409 and I was born into a system where people could read and they taught me how to read and the importance of reading? Or is he pulling himself up from bootstraps for learning how to cut an 8-ball? Right?
Same shit.
We got to understand the difference of what the scratch line really is, where the value really lies. Right? So, and then again, it goes back to the context of the difference between a reason and an excuse. It's 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I want you to play this right now. If you
Hey, Tiger, I'm going to pull, hold on, pause it. I got to pull it up. Give me a second. There's a little bit of delay from what initially happens to actually going out. So give me a second to get you on there. Good brother. You are about to hear the scratch line. This Reverend Dr. Samuel Proctor. And about 2.5 minutes, hear what he has to say on this particular topic. Go ahead, too.
The same scratch line, although there's one original position hypothetically for everybody. You were born here owning nothing, having earned nothing, just born. There you are, helpless, and you're a debtor to everybody. But some of us opened our eyes and saw nothing but blessings just dumping on us. I opened my eyes and there was Herbert and Thelma and my grandma Hattie, a slave in Chesterfield County who finished Hampton in 1882, smiling on me. How in the world could I lose? Taught me how to read and sing 4-part harmony before I ever got to school. Taught me how to play the clarinet and the piano. Made me go to Sunday school. Daddy didn't send us. Daddy took us to Sunday school. If there was nobody in the Sunday school but one person, that would have been my daddy with his little 6 children. There in the Sunday school at the Bank Street Back. That's what I inherited. I didn't earn it. You can't get that with a Visa card. It was given to me. Now, all through my neighborhood, there were other young fellas. I can remember all of them. Daddies were drunk half the time. They didn't read in their homes. Nobody went to Sunday school. None of that. They started life beneath the scratch line. I started life way above the scratch line. Everywhere I went, somebody said, aren't you Miss Hattie's grandson? Are you Herbert's boy? Skipped 3 grades. I never was in the 3rd grade, the 5th grade, or the 7th grade. Everything smiling on me. Finished high school at 15, went on to college on a scholarship. None of that did I deserve. I hadn't earned any of it. I started out with a head of steam. Old Norfolk Mission College there had trained my mother and father. They had learned poetry, Paul Laurence done by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And they gave all of that to us in great abundance. And my buddies up the street had none of that. Now, we want these bones to live again. Those of us who have inherited benefits that we did not earn or deserve, need to turn around and help those who inherited deficits that they did not earn or deserve, and help them to rise up to the scratch line where we are, so that they may earn and enjoy all of the benefits that we so take for granted. Can these bones live again, O Lord? Thou knowest, these bones can live. We do not...
That was the scratch line from Reverend Dr. Samuel DeWitt Proctor, giving a testimony to why'd you find it so relevant in this moment.
Because one of the things he said, one of the things I talk about often is empathy, right? And again, if you look at the Democratic, the DNC National Convention, that's one of the conversations they kept talking about, empathy, and how important this election cycle is, right? Well, where's the empathy for our community, right? Traditionally, black folks have been the moral compass of America.
Sure.
Because if we're going to be honest, right? The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, all that was written at the hands and feet, but these people had slaves.
Yeah.
So they didn't honor all people. They never did. It was tyranny then. It's always been tyranny. This whole country was developed in tyranny. It's always been a fascist nation. This is what this is, right? But we have always succinctly and standardized the morality of this nation.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
But the further and further we assimilate into whiteness, the further and further that line gets pushed away. And when we fully adopt those theories and those philosophies, we're going to really suffer the pain of the greed of the white man's nation. We're going to really suffer the pain of the understanding of how capitalism really works, right? Because there's no value attached to us any longer.
No.
We got to be real about that. Slave, you had a value. During the 40s, you had a value. Labor force, you had a value. I don't need you anymore.
Right.
I don't need the labor force anymore.
Right.
So when you start to understand that,
It's fuck you in a whole new way.
when you start to see what real tyranny looks like, right? We're gonna be in fucking trouble, and we're allowing it to happen because we're confused about the situation. We're walking comfortably into a gas chamber.
Let me reference a point that Salim Muwakil just made, and Salim is one of the most accomplished, one of the most intelligent brothers I've ever had the opportunity to meet, and he gives this testimony about himself. Growing up on the streets of New York City, most of what we did to have fun was illegal. Had I been caught, my life would have taken a different trajectory just for having fun, right? That's how easy it is to get derailed when you grow up black in America. It's literally navigating a minefield. And just because for one reason or another, you had a strong grandmama, you had a strong grandfather, you had a strong mother, father, you caught a break here, you caught a break there, somebody didn't catch you doing this, somebody didn't catch you doing that, somebody did catch you and let you go for doing this, or whatever else it may be. You worked your ass off and did it all on your own. Whatever it may be, that you found yourself on the other side of that minefield, that gives you no right, no standing, and no reason to turn around and say, how the fuck didn't y'all get through that minefield?
But that goes back to the Samuel DeWitt Proctor conversation too, though,
Absolutely
right?
it does.
He said, here I am reaping the benefits of everything that I had not earned. And here are my friends reaping the struggles of everything that they had not earned. Right? You were born into this circumstance. It is what it is.
And what's crazy about that is you get a lot of people arguing about different things from a point of religion, right? From this point of spiritual understanding. And I'm not very religious. I'm quite spiritual. I enjoy church. I go all the time when it's open, right? One of the things they learn there is that this concept of grace and mercy, right? And what is grace? And grace, it's unwarranted acts of love freely given to you from God, right? You ain't done shit for it, right? And so what Reverend Proctor was speaking about, I ain't done nothing for this. I ain't done shit to deserve none of this stuff that's been bestowed upon me, but yet and still I have it, right? And so to have it is fine, but then to have it and then to use that as your perch to sit up on and say, look at them niggas down there. That's bullshit. That is being co-opted in the worst possible way. That is believing all of the crap that you've been fed from your birth in this country, right? That's the reality of it. There was a couple other things that I wanted to read other than Salim's things. Adrian said, sometimes when you are surrounded by support in every way, it can be hard to understand why people don't do better, right? It's hard for me to understand that shit, right? I can't really wrap my mind around it, right? I get it. I've had it. I got it. Why the fuck can't you get it? I look like
because we lack empathy.
Absolutely.
Because the only real value in America is winning, is what I keep saying.
Absolutely.
And because we've not been winning, because we've not had an option to play, is absolutely why we've been the moral grounding of this country.
Oh yeah.
You don't have the option to win.
Yeah.
So all you have to value is morality.
Right. You're literally making your decisions based off what's right and what's wrong. Money and winning don't really factor into it in that way. So that makes perfect sense when you're talking about black people being the moral compass of this country. Makes perfect sense.
Right. And as we move toward the trajectory of the illusion of being able to profit from this capitalist standard, from this capitalist system, we are circumventing or devaluing that moral compass from that point. Right? So what do? We start to align ourselves with the frequency that the white man has had since he showed up, since the inception of this country.
Yeah.
And as we align ourselves with that frequency, you start to see the energies that permeate on the grounds. So we talk about the murders in the community, right? But we only talk about it from the context of the violent structure, how they happen or whatever. But we don't talk about them as an economic engine. And legitimately, the murders in our community are an economic engine. Not just for the police either, but for our community, right? They are selling these stories and these taglines on social media. They're selling this narrative.
Of course.
They're selling this culture. And this is the new crack cocaine. But if you're not in that dynamic or in that demographic, you don't know that.
Of course.
You just think, what the fuck is wrong with these little wild motherfuckers? This is how they profit.
Right.
They created a narrative and they live the shit through. It's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs being acted out on Broadway. It is the same shit.
Same shit.
It's the same shit, right? But again, it's moralist because why? Capital is God. That's in that dollar bill. That's why it says, "In God we trust."
Everything else,
because that is your God.
Church and state.
That's your God,
Except
right
the
there.
money, though.
That dollar is your God. Now I acknowledge that there's a nuanced conversation that needs to happen. Because we acknowledge that as our God at this present moment, that will stabilize us, which will give us room to address the social narrative of our spiritual decline. And maybe we won't come up out of that, but at least if we get that dollar, we'll be what's the word I mean? Stabilized within this demonic ass system.
Yeah. Have you ever given somebody something just because they nagged you long enough about it? You didn't think it would make much of a difference, right? You playing a little cousin or something in a game, and give me another shot. Give me another shot. I'll make the next one. It don't matter. Here, take the fucking ball, shoot again, right? If they really don't think that we could do better if given more of an opportunity, then just give it to us just to shut us the fuck up, right? If we're really just that ignorant, we're really that violent, we're really that susceptible to drug abuse, and we gonna fuck the money up anyway, then just give it to us so everybody can be on your side now. Just say, look, remember in 2020, we cut all them niggas checks. They cried about it for 400 years. We said, okay, fuck it, take the money. And they blew it. Fine, give us the opportunity.
But that's every community as well, right? So we kind of think of it like everybody in the white community undergirds the white capital of the white community, the white economics of the white community. Everybody in the Asian community undergirds the success of the Asian community. That's a fallacy.
Right.
Right? There's only a few people in each of those communities that kind of hose up the rest of the people, right? So yeah, 95% of us might blow through that shit on rims and tires.
Right.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Right? But I'm buying land for them 95% of niggas who bought rims and tires.
Right. Now you come rent for me.
Now you come pay me rent. You understand? And when you run through all that money, I'm gonna build some other little smaller industries. You come work that.
You can work there too.
That's how this shit works.
But it's still all of us holding each other
It's
up.
still that we gonna hold this shit up.
Absolutely no different from the way I said what I said is holding up what's in it for the Black People Media. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson, one of Herb Howard here each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Thank y'all so much for choosing to tune in. We got about 13 minutes left in the show. And before we get out of here, I promise y'all at the top of the show, we're going to show y'all an absolutely hilarious video of Joe Biden, his speech at the 2020 Democratic National Convention, and Joe Biden, his speech at, it may have been the 2008 Democratic National Convention.
He dug deep.
Right? Listen, man. Never. He said, listen, if I got it right once, why the fuck do I need to switch it?
That's right, because they ain't paying attention. It's 3 call Molly.
Right. These niggas not paying
They
attention.
took the head off the board. Let's take the ball off the board.
Y'all listen, during this break, we're going to play this video. I want all of you all to pay attention to this video, and on the last 2 minutes of the show, we'll spend some time taking your comments and dissecting this video. This is, again, presidential candidate Joe Biden. This is his speech from this weekend, played in conjunction with his speech from 2008.
Barack Obama has worked his way up. He is the great American story. Senator Kamala Harris, she's a powerful voice for this nation. Her story is the American story. That work is more than a paycheck. It's dignity. A job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's respect. It's about whether or not you can look your child in the eye and say, we're going to be all right. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and beat it. My dad who fell on hard times. You know, my dad was an honorable, decent man. He got knocked down a few times, pretty hard. Always told me, though, champ, when you get knocked down, get up. Get up. But he always got back up. He worked hard, and he built a great middle-class life for our family. And why don't make college more affordable? That's the change we need. And where cost doesn't prevent young people from going to college, and student debt doesn't crush them when they get out. Barack Obama will transform the economy by making alternative energy a national priority. An opportunity for America to lead the world in clean energy and create millions of new, good-paying jobs in the process. And in the process, creating 5 million new jobs. With 5 million new manufacturing and technology jobs. With security backing Social Security. If I'm your president, we're going to protect Social Security and Medicare. And you'll never, ever, ever give up until we achieve equal pay for women. With equal pay for women. Barack Obama will bring down healthcare costs by $2,500 for the average family. With a healthcare system that lowers premiums, deductibles, drug prices. Barack Obama will reform our tax code. He will cut taxes for 95% of the American people who draw a paycheck. That's the change we need. Because we don't need a tax code that rewards wealth more than it rewards work. Folks, remember when the world used to trust us? When they looked to us for leadership? I'll be a president who will stand with our allies and friends and make it clear to our adversaries the days of cozying up to dictators is over. We will hold Russia accountable for its actions. Under President Biden, America will not turn a blind eye to Russian bounties on the heads of American soldiers. The American people are ready. I am ready. Barack is ready. So the question for us is simple. Are we ready? I believe we are. And this is the time as Americans together. We get back up together. Let us begin, you and I together. This is our time. This is America's time. This is our moment to make hope and history rhyme. It defines who we are as a people. And now it's in jeopardy. I know it. You know it. You know all elections are important. We know in our bones this one is more consequential. These are extraordinary times. This is an extraordinary election. And now history has delivered us to one of the most difficult moments America's ever faced. That's the America that George Bush has left us. And that's the America we'll continue to get if John McCain is elected president of the United States in the 40th century. He's given 4 more years, he'll be what he's been for the last 4 years. Our debt to our parents and our grandparents is too great. Our obligation to our children is too sacred. For you, your family, your children.
That's it.
That is absolutely hilarious. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. Like that, to me, that is absolutely hilarious. Now, I understand there is a strategic nature to politics, right? There are some key points that you want to hit on. And so when Tu first said, Herb, I got this video, and it's going to show you that this man just gave the same speech in 2020 that he gave in 2008. And besides the fact that he looks 20 years older from a video that was 12 years ago, and besides the fact that he obviously was running with some black folks in his camp in 2008, because that suit that he got on in 2008, shitting on the suit that he got on in 2020, right? So you can tell some black people in the camp during that part. But aside from that, right, I said, Tu, you're lying. You kept saying this, she's like, no, he said, like, Herb, it's the same speech. I said, Tu, you are lying to me. I said, he probably hit on some of the same points, hit some same key points and some topics. You said, no, it's word for word. I'm like, you're fucking lying. You weren't lying.
Speech,
you
right?
weren't lying.
But it's like a professional comment, right? If I'm a professional comment, I'm a master myself. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm a master my sales pitch. And I guess it's the same way for a politician, right? They all gonna master their sales pitch.
The
right?
same speech.
But here's what's interesting about that, right? We all been laughing and joking and talking about how Joe Biden doesn't know where he is, or how he might have onset dementia, or something's going on. But the other day when he made that speech, he was heralded as being a great speaker. Like, he was applauded for that speech.
because he didn't have any of those kind of mishaps, right? He in a world where we're saying this man legitimately might have something mentally going on with him, where he can't remember words or he struggles.
Right.
So if you think about it, he had this speech in 2008. So he's probably practiced this speech to say it even in 2008.
Sure.
You know, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Sure.
Right? So shit, let me pull out something I'm comfortable with so I don't have any fuck ups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It worked.
And then it worked. And it worked in 2020 too, because he got a response that said, you know, oh, Biden, this was his best speech ever. Right? Yeah, it was.
The same speech
from
ever.
2008. Right? And if that's your sales pitch and those are the same issues, then what are we getting out of your party? Because Barack won that shit.
And what do we get?
What did we get? Because if you didn't solve them problems then, why the fuck are we talking about them 10 years later? Which one of them fucking problems did you take on? And which one of them did you fucking solve? So everybody, when we have these conversations, everybody comes to us like, what's the fucking solution?
Right.
Well, you finna give his ass your vote. Ask his ass what's the solution.
He finna run it back 12 years on you.
Ask him what's the solution, because he got the same goddamn sales speech.
Right.
If you sell the product, if I'm successful in selling you that shit, I at least got to change up my speech, because I got to sell you some new shit.
Right.
Don't have to keep selling you that same shit if it's not justified or fix the issue that you had with that specific problem.
Can't nobody do that but Jordan. Can't nobody tell niggas the same thing over and over again but Jordan or politicians, right? They doing it over and over again. Here we are acting like 2020 is some year of reckoning, right? Where something's gonna change. All these things, we all pissed off. We all up in arms right now. We demand this. We demand that. But we finna go for the same fucking play. Like, be clear. They running the same fucking play. And again, if my play is working, I'm gonna run it 100 million times on you. John Stockton and Karl Malone ran screen and roll 1,000,000 fucking times because it fucking worked. The Packers in the 50s, they ran the power sweep 1,000,000 times because it works.
But if I'm on the opposing team, if I got on a different jersey, I'd be a fool to keep letting you run a pick and roll on me.
A damn fool.
I'd be a fool, and that's what's been happening for the last 10 years. They've been running pick and roll and scoring.
We didn't even try to guard a different way. Should I go over the screen? Should I go under the screen? Should I run a zone? Should I do anything other than what I've been doing?
We got to use the vote as a tactic.
No.
Not a goal.
Stick to your spot. Your spot is on Karl Malone. Your spot is on John Stockton. Keep doing the same fucking thing. Coach, we down 100-0. Keep doing it. Right? Keep fucking doing it. And they know it. And so they keep running the same fucking play. This man had the audacity to say, not only am I not going to change it, I don't even think y'all going to find it. I don't even think that y'all are tuned in enough to even know that I just gave y'all the same fucking speech verbatim. Now, it would have been one thing to say, you know what, too? The issues of the world,
elements from here and elements
right?
from
The issues of the world ain't changed that much, right? So some of the things there's going to be some overlap there. The motherfucker gave the same speech.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
But is it crazy though, or is it brilliant? Right? And I'm saying that in the sense that it worked. It was successful. So it's not him that's problematic.
And
it is us.
Again,
it's not him.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
It's time for us to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It is us that is the problem.
Yeah. It's us that is problematic. We must rethink how we address or approach our understanding of politics, but our understanding of culture, our understanding of blackness in America. Therein lies the problem, right? That's why you get the pushback when they say, well, this isn't the election to consider that. Then when the fuck is the election to consider that? Because every day of your life, you should be considering what's in your best interest. What's in the best interest for your child? What's in the best interest for the future? Because if you ain't doing it, then what the fuck is your value on this planet? It's just a selfish kind of move. And life is really, at its core, it's supposed to be a selfless kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody gets it. DS saying, please know that if he's giving the same speech, he's going to do the same thing. Ain't nothing going to change people, right? Rachel says, God damn right. Fuck out of here with the bullshit, right? And that's really what it is. Sarah Mickens gave us 1,000 stars. Thank you so much, Sarah Mickens. We greatly appreciate the contribution. If anybody else wants to contribute before we get out of here, please just click the gold star at the bottom of your screen. That is the way that you can contribute to the show. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't done so, take a quick second to share the conversation. That is another way that you can contribute to the show. Each and every one of you are already contributing to the show just by being here, actively listening, actively taking a part in the conversation. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you. It means the world to us that you have chosen to be a part of this I Said What I Said conversation. Again, Toussaint Warner and myself, Herb Howard, are here each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. on What's In It for the Black People Media, live on the Maze Jackson page on Facebook. And we greatly, greatly appreciate you all being here and doing everything that you can to continue to help this conversation grow, whether you try to help it grow by clicking on the stars and improving the actual product that we're putting out, or you're sharing the conversation to other people and bringing more and more people in to be a part of it. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Today, we went through a couple of things, right? We opened up the show talking about how Toussaint is absolutely losing the fight in his house to raise his teenage son. And Toussaint's father is absolutely having himself a great laugh as he looks down upon his son and grandson and says, that little nigga used to do the same thing to me. You go ahead, grandson, put it on him, right? So we had that conversation earlier. We talked about Ice Cube and Ice Cube challenging black folks to demand something for our vote. What are we getting back for the things that we are giving to these politicians in terms of our vote and our resources and our belief in them? I've said oftentimes, only in politics, no other realm of our society do we so willingly accept less than what we expected for our investment, right? Money, time, whatever resource that you invest into something, you expect something back. You expect a particular return on that investment. If you go to a restaurant and pay for your food, they give you anything other than your food. If they don't give your ass enough ketchup or salt packets, you finna throw a fit. You need them to run that. Politics, we expect one thing, we get something completely less than that, and we don't give a fuck about it. Right? I don't understand how that works in that society, in that realm of our society, and in no other two. We got about a minute and a half left. Any closing remarks from you, sir?
Real quick, I just want to shout out to Treese and Marvin for both sending us 200 stars, man. We greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
You know, I know we didn't go in depthly about the shooting in Kenosha, but I saw the shooting in Kenosha, and I'm sure that most of us who are tuned in have seen the shooting in Kenosha. And what's bothering me about those shootings is the casualness of how they are murdering us in the streets, right? There's no recourse because they're not afraid of any retribution. They're not afraid of any response. And all we have is hands up, don't shoot, and marching. At some point in time, man, we got to ask the question, specifically the men in our community, right? What are we willing to die for? You know what I mean? I think that's a paramount conversation that we need to have. You know, my moniker is, can you beat my ass? Can you beat my ass? But it needs to be a moniker that we adapt as a populace, specifically the men in our community. I know we didn't get to spend no time on it, but I really want to kind of address that Megan Thee Stallion conversation as well with the young man who shot her in the foot. Because all that shit...
Tory Lanez.
Yeah, all that shit is just resemblance of the cowardness that we kind of carry, and I think that's been kind of conditioned into us as well. You know what I mean? We've kind of accepted this concept of beta male behavior, right? Because part of being black in America is capitulation is necessary for the black male. You know, for you to survive within this system, right? But in order to embrace the fullness of your masculinity, we got to get up off that whole shit.
Well, let's make sure that we touch on that on Wednesday. We will be back here Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for the comments, for being a part of the conversation. Thank you all so much for supporting with the Gold Stars. We greatly, greatly appreciate that as well. Again, we'll see you back here Wednesday at 1 p.m. Until then, for Toussaint Warner and for super producer Miss Sonia Escobar doing all of the hard work behind the glass, doing her best to make us sound good, doing her best to make two look good, because I always look good. My name is Herb Howard. Until next time, peace.
Assalamu alaikum. Because you always look good. Huh?
I always look good. You know what I'm saying?
You're a supermodel.
I'm absolutely gorgeous. My mama told me.
You definitely have a face that only a mother could